Oh, Ames, since you're the one in the kitchen, you'll have to keep an eye on the Rossi clock.
The Rossi clock isn't facing towards me.
Oh, well.
Damn.
And I don't want to unplug myself to move
All right,
it.
well, we're starting at 2:15, so
That's what I have.
at 2:45 is roughly halfway, if we're doing the Rossi clock method.
I'm not that worried about it.
I'm not that worried either.
We're going to get sick of doing this pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's going to be a 20-minute episode because we were like, this is too goddamn hard.
Okay.
No, now I want to stretch it out because it took us like 6 hours just to get to this point.
Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By,
Ow,
a
ow!
Star Trek podcast. Chris, remind me what episode this is.
170?
Come on, isn't it 169?
No,
Is
that
it?
was last week.
No, remember, you guys were upset because I had 169 and wasn't gonna, like...
It's
Okay.
170 because Jake is multiples of 2 but not 4.
All right, so I'm going to start over at 170.
Math.
Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast, episode 170.
Woo!
This week on A Star to Steer Her By, we're going to be covering 2 episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
What?
That doesn't sound right.
And those episodes are, in no particular order other than the order that they were in, Second Skin and The Abandoned.
Baroo!
We should also note for our listeners that we are doing this podcast for the first time over Zoom.
We are social distancing it. Like, whoa.
That's
Yep.
right.
God knows
So-
what this is gonna sound like.
We finally
So-
gave in to the peer pressure.
Yeah, so we apologize if there is weird audio quality issues. We're trying very hard to make the sound good, but
It's probably going to sound better than the first 60 episodes of this show, so if you've made it to this point, you're probably fine.
that's fair.
We should introduce ourselves.
We should introduce ourselves.
Because we must sound entirely different right now. Caitlin is about 60 miles away from the rest of us.
That's right.
That's just so you don't peek out the microphone as much.
And I'm not wearing underwear.
I'm
Thanks,
only
Chris.
wearing underwear.
I haven't worn underwear for this entire self-isolation period. Do you want a medal?
You can't shit your pants if you're not wearing pants.
That's exactly right.
That's a good theory. All right. Well, so anyway, my name is Jake.
This is Chris.
Oh, it's so hard because we're not in any particularly seated order today.
Yeah,
This is Ames.
We know what the order is.
I don't remember.
So what's funny is, in my Zoom, Jake is across from me, Ames is next to me, and Chris is across from Ames. So it actually looks right to me.
Oh,
That's
that's not
funny.
right for me. That's a shame. And I
I
can't
have
move
self-view
people.
off, so I've got you
I'm
guys
incredibly
in a stack.
vain. I'm so vain that I keep self-view on and play with my hair the entire time.
It should also be noted that Chris has turned on his virtual background and has a Oberth class ship,
It's
which
not
I am fully
exploding.
expecting to explode throughout at some point
Any
in this
minute.
episode.
Any minute now.
Mm.
Yeah, no, see, I was so relieved, Ames, when you told me that turning off self-view was a thing, because I'm not vain, I'm self-conscious, and just stare at it like, why do I look like this? But now I don't have to.
Now the rest of us have to wonder that instead.
Well, yeah, that's normal for you guys.
Well, normally you're not in front of an Oberth class, so this is actually a plus for us.
Okay. Well, I'm going to cut this thing together, so we're going to cut the chatter. Well, so the first episode that we'll be discussing today is Second Skin. Second Skin.
Fourth skin.
Foreskin.
Ah.
Foreskin.
Is that like something from Star Wars?
I wonder, so I guess if you're a Klingon, you would have a second foreskin.
Because you'd have a second dick.
16 skin.
I wonder if Cardassian foreskins feel like snakeskin.
I kind of hope they've just got that spoony, bumpy texture going on.
Ugh. You know they're barbed for her displeasure.
That's the Cations you're thinking of.
Oh, right. Anyway, so in Second Skin, Kira is hanging out on Deep Space Nuevo, and She gets contacted by some Bajoran records lady, and she's like, hey, I'm doing interviews on, like, trying to find out about people that were at this particular prison. And Kira's like, well, I think you got the wrong person, because I was never at that prison. I've been to a lot of prisons, not that one. She's like, the records show Kira Nerys, all your biological details. So she's like, that's funny. So they contact some dude, and he's like, hey, I remember you. You were in prison with me. And she's like, what? So they all go to check it out. She's like, I'm going to go to this prison and find out what's really going down. But she vanishes on the way.
I mean,
Meanwhile,
there's transporters for that, so.
Meanwhile, Garrick is feeling like he's got a little. He's been under some quarantine himself on Deep Space Nine, so he's trying to get his social distancing ended, and he's bitching to Julian about it, and Julian's like, why can't you leave? And he's like, reasons.
Sounds right.
So, anywho, Kira wakes up in a strange place with strange people, and one of them's Cardassian, and one of them is something else entirely. And she gets up and goes to the full-length mirror that's next to every bed and sees that she is Cardassian.
Romulan.
Suddenly Cardassian. Just like that other episode. And she says, what did you do to me? And the guy that's there is like, I just returned your normal appearance because I've brought you home to Cardassia because you're a Cardassian.
That's his voice.
And she's like, what the fuck? You fucking assholes. God damn it. So essentially, they spend the whole episode gaslighting her into trying to trick her into thinking that she has always been Cardassian and that she was a secret Cardassian spy who was spying on the Bajorans, but that they erased her memory and replaced it with the memory of this Bajoran, Kira Nerys, who is dead, and they even have the body. However, at the end, it turns out that they weren't gaslighting her. Well, they were. They weren't just gaslighting her.
They were gaslighting everyone.
They were gaslighting some other dude into thinking that she was his daughter who died or vanished, who happened to just look a lot like Kira. But in reality, they just wanted to gaslight this guy into getting him to, I guess, admit on tape that he was a member of some resistance. It's not, the motivation isn't really clear. I'm talking.
He's part of it. Draw him out that he was a dissident.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like that, again, in keeping with Cardassian tradition, this is a far more complicated plan than it needed to be.
But
because I have a feeling, they could have gotten at this guy another way.
Yeah, but we also, it makes sense because whatever their plan was, this daughter, Ileana, was real. There is an Ileana somewhere. She might be dressed up as Kira. Well, we might meet her someday and be like, no, there's two Kiras running around because she looks like her.
No, the Cardassians are more sly than that. Whoever she's disguised as, she doesn't look a thing like Kira.
That's true. They are really good at doing the facial surgery. They did that last week with that guy who pretended to be O'Brien's friend.
Oh my god,
last week, several weeks ago.
Okay, can I finish though, please?
You're done?
Maybe.
No, because I forgot the best part. Garrick gets to go home
Briefly.
for 10 minutes.
And then he shoots a guy.
So yeah, and he vaporizes a guy while he's there.
Yeah, that's the part he really likes.
So they rescue Kira. They do a daring escape where Odo gets to be a bag. He loves being bags.
Oh, rats.
Bags and rats. Those are his specialties.
A bag of rats.
A rat king.
So they rescue Kira, bring her back to Deep Space Nine, but they also bring back the old man.
And the bag.
And he's like, oh, you're just like my daughter after all. Here, have this piece of trash. And she's like, great, I don't really want this, but all right, I guess I'll take it.
I liked him. He's really cool. That was
nice.
Legate to Kenny Gimore, whose daughter is out there somewhere.
Yep.
Or dead.
Or dead.
Most likely dead.
Most likely dead. Well... So,
possibly the fake corpse that they showed Kira.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was that fake corpse lying around, so maybe there was another Kira.
Caitlin, you have no audio.
Awesome.
Oh, now you do.
There you are.
Actually, no, you know what it is? Ironically, the daughter wasn't sent to Bajor, she was sent to Starfleet. She's been Deanna Troi the whole time.
And when
it's why Troy's powers don't work.
No, and then when Deanna Troi was a Romulan briefly, it's just layers upon layers upon layers.
Exactly.
You'd think they would have figured that out when they had to put the new layer on top. Like, there's something here under the topsoil. It doesn't look quite right.
Yeah, but then they were like, well, whatever, we've got our own plan to deal with.
No, I loved it. I loved it because I read that the writer, Robert Hewitt Wolfe, had the original ending so that they wouldn't actually know whether Kira was actually a Cardassian or a Bajoran, whether any of this was real or not. Like, Bashir would do the scan and be like, it's impossible for me to tell what the fuck you are because of the way Cardassians can do this shit.
There was so much inbreeding between the Cardassians and the Bajorans.
Hot. But yeah, they changed that so that, she'd have that line to whoever being like, yep, Bashir scanned me all over, and now we know I'm definitely Bajoran. Didn't need all those extra scans he did, but he's a creeper.
Yeah, this is, again, I've said this from day one. I love Cardassian episodes. I love Cardassian plots because they have the best plops.
And Kira's great too. Like, Kira is a feisty little thing, and watching her like being like, oh no, what if I am what I hate? Loved it. She was great this episode. And she looks really hot as a Cardassian.
I definitely think that she was right on the brink of buying the whole thing when she realized the actual truth.
How many likes did she see? How many likes did she see?
They definitely drew, I'm assuming, deliberate parallels with Chain of Command. There was the scene when, what was the guy's name, the interrogator?
The Cardassian official was Entek.
Entek. Yeah, when Entek's like, because he puts a lot of effort into selling this for, again, they're only trying to get the guy. So he interrogates her heavily just to get her riled up so that she can convince the guy to help her escape.
Well, plus, if she does crack, then hey, twofer. You've got that guy you wanted, and you got some intel.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a hot minute that I was like, you know what, since Cardassians are so good at doing the plastic surgery thing, it's not even that important that it be Kira Nerys, that it be someone who resembles Ileana at all. It could literally be anybody. But then, it's like, oh yeah, but you kind of do want somebody who might be kind of connected with Deep Space Nine. That would be useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming they were like, this Kira Nerys looks an awful lot like Ileana, so let's go with that.
Yeah, a little less time in the surgery chair.
Yeah.
Having your teeth pulled. No, wait, that was...
And they also probably figured, too, that Kira is such a strong-willed person that she would try to escape. And, because what they needed is someone that wouldn't crumble.
Yeah.
If they had just gotten some random person to be there to play that part. I mean, but for that matter, why wouldn't they just dress up a member of the Obsidian Order already to look like Ileana? Right? And pretend to be like having her as an unwilling participant puts a big risk into their plan, because if she didn't convince Gamor to, smuggle her out, their plan wouldn't have worked.
I mean, I suppose it adds a layer of reality if this person is genuinely like, oh god, what if?
Yeah, but the Obsidian Order people are so fucking crafty that you tell me they couldn't get an actual Cardassian.
So that way it would just be like them acting.
I don't know. I was like, are Cardassians good actors? We don't know. Maybe that's just not a part of their culture.
I don't know. Have you seen Garrick?
I was going to say, Garrick puts on a pretty good performance.
Well, yeah, except he's always lying.
Anyway, he's not acting. That is just Garrick. It's him being his spy self.
No, see, that's the thing. He's such a good actor that you actually believe that he's a spy, when in reality, he's just a simple tailor.
When in reality, he's actually a dump truck driver.
He's actually the station's chief physician.
He killed Julian long ago and took his face.
Yep.
I like that the way that Garrick tries to get Julian to come and talk about what's happening with Kira is he's like, I want to have a little late night snack. And as I was watching it, I was like thinking of Bashir being like, Garrick, Major Kira is a whole ass meal, not simply a snack. But that's probably just me having a huge woman crush on her. Like, I don't know if you've seen, but she's still really hot. I think I mentioned this last week. Sorry for repeating myself, but I really think it.
In case we've forgotten.
Yeah, in case you forgot. She's hot.
Mirror Kira?
She's a whole ass meal, not just a snack.
Meet a Kira.
Ass meal. That's a new one.
It's probably not. It's probably been around for ages and we're just old and now it's over because I've said it.
I mean, again, I suppose there's that extra thing of just like, well, if she actually does crack, we also get intel.
Definitely.
They were just fuck it.
You know what's absolutely fascinating is that the original idea was that it was going to be O'Brien that had been deep undercover as a Cardassian operative for all this time, for like 20 fucking years, that the original one died 20 years ago. and had, memories implanted and done all the thing to make him, look and think he's O'Brien. But then they realized the way that this didn't actually work was they realized, wait a minute, if it's been a Cardassian the whole time,
yeah, wouldn't Molly be half Cardassian?
And he has offspring with a human woman, then that would mean Molly would have to be half Cardassian. But wait, they just don't realize Molly isn't Miles's.
Well, also, that's the exact same thing as Boone, right? Like, that wouldn't work because they already did that with Boone.
Yeah.
What they could have done is, instead of actually capturing O'Brien, they captured his replicant.
Yeah, there you go.
Really fucks everything up.
Maybe it's Smiles from the alternate universe.
Oh no, Smiley.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I really like this one. Again, the plot is a little thin because, it doesn't, to me, stand up when you consider...
Disagree.
There really was no reason to involve Kira.
Well, except that I think the Cardassians just can't help themselves.
There's that, yeah.
I think, can we do plan A? It's like, yes, but let's add step B. Why? Because good enough.
I mean, it's convoluted. It's nowhere near a Romulan plan in terms of the convolution that's involved. But it also gets you to that amazing ending of watching Daddams realize, like, oh no, you're not actually my daughter. We've been fucked all along. Garrick just killed a man. That's weird.
Who he maybe kind of liked.
Yeah, his old buddy. Yeah, they knew him by name, so they must have known each other in a past life.
They knew him, and Daddams was like, do not trust that man.
Yeah.
And Kira's like, way ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
That too. It's like, that's not particularly good fatherly advice. Like, none of us has trusted him since the word go.
Well, the thing though, of course, he doesn't know that because he's not on the station, so.
How much does Julian trust Garrick?
Probably more than he should, but he's...
Yeah. But love will blind you.
Yeah.
It's true.
Garrick, though, had a lot of really good lines, I felt.
Oh, always.
And I really liked the scene between he and Sisko when Sisko was like, oh, you're coming and you're helping us. This is extortion. Yes, it is.
Yep.
The more I watch this show, the more I really love and appreciate Sisko. I feel like a lot of people really give him a lot of shit, and I just find him endlessly charming.
Yeah, no, I actually really like Sisko. His approach to doing things is very different, I think, than either Kirk or Picard.
He's way closer to Kirk.
Yeah, I think he's closer to Kirk. Although I have this thing about Kirk, and I've talked about this before, where Kirk kind of has this reputation as a rule breaker and a rebel, and I don't think that's well earned, because I think for the most part he was a stickler for rules. He was always quoting regulation. Yeah. It wasn't until he was much, much older that he kind of started, going out and stealing starships and stuff.
Yeah,
so it's also in the movies. It's also in the Sorry, it's so hard not to talk over each other. I mean, in real life, but more so here.
Yeah.
I know it's like established in the movies, like, oh, he broke the Kobayashi Maru test by hacking into it and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, they waited 10 years to decide he was a rule breaker. Interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, I think Sisko in a lot of ways is kind of in the model of Kirk's reputation versus what Kirk actually was in the original show. Yeah, go ahead.
I think with Sisko, what you have is sort of this weird, almost hybrid figure in that, like, we've seen this a lot where he gets what he wants via negotiation, but it also utilizes some tactics Picard wouldn't necessarily approve of.
I don't see any Picard in Sisko. You know who I kind of see in Sisko is a lot of Scotty. A lot of just, fuck it, whatever, we'll fix it in post kind of guy.
Yeah, and I don't forget, like, I bet if you went through, you would see that Picard does a lot more rule breaking than Kirk ever did. He just breaks the rules, but he does it with a British accent, so you don't notice it. You're like, well, he must be right. He speaks with such authority.
It's that bald pate too. You just trust him.
Yeah. So Garrick apparently has his hands on a still valid security clearance, a very important one, apparently.
What the fuck is stopping him from just going home whenever he wants?
Well, it's weird that his clearance still worked, but then his appearance there was obviously like, whoa, what the fuck are you doing here? So it's an interesting, like, are you telling me that with all their great record keeping, the Cardassians, like, forgot to deactivate him, or?
I mean, maybe it's not his. Maybe he stole
Yeah.
it.
Maybe it's just because he's such a good spy. Maybe he just knows, oh, this is some, top secret thing that all the ship captains know. If you hear this, it's real.
Well, he did say he overheard it while he was tailoring or some shit, so...
Yeah.
I do like that the initial scheme involved basically Snapchat filters.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, they said, Cisco, you can either be a whatever these critters are, or you can be a screech rhino. And I think they chose incorrectly.
But here's the thing, right? So the projection still had Cisco's voice.
Yep.
So would it have been a screech rhino that just spoke like Ben Cisco?
I hope so.
Absolutely.
And the ship captain's like, I feel like that rhino should be screeching.
I like that a lot. You know what I started thinking about?
Yeah.
Sorry, you're still on the screech rhino conversation?
I was going to mention about Garrick's secret access code.
Oh, yeah, do that first.
Well, now I forget. I've lost my train of thought. So why don't you go ahead?
Okay. So Kira goes missing, and they're like, oh no, we have to go find Kira. We'll figure this out. Garrick will help because he's got intel, because he's so fucking shady. We see later in the episode, Garrick fucking murders a man, disintegrates him. No body left over, no nothing.
Yep.
So people who go missing all the time, because Kira goes missing, how often do they actually find the bodies and actually figure things out when you could just be vaporized at any time?
When they knew that...
They're a main cast member from the show DS9.
Exactly, that's very true.
That's the
But
only...
they even do acknowledge that's a risk. They do say that this sensor trace could be a transport signal, or it could have been a phaser set to kill.
Right. But they always treat it like you're just missing, and they'll waste months and months searching for people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing that like a vaporized person probably must leave some kind of residue. Like because otherwise you're right. I mean, there would be no way to solve crimes.
It just smells like barbecue.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, they picked up the sensor thing, the ionized air or whatever. But I could also imagine that, it's cooking you and turning you into a gas. So that gas must be able to be also detected. It probably does smell like barbecue.
How long until it dissipates?
I don't know.
Is that what they have in the future rather than like smoke and CO detectors?
body vapor detectors.
Yeah. You make incense out of it.
I bet it takes way more than just a single 9-volt, though.
Yeah.
Do you think they have 9 volts in the future?
I mean, they probably do. Why wouldn't they? They need electricity. Unless we assume that, tricorders and things are all powered by magic. I mean, it's probably not a 9-volt. It's probably some advanced battery technology, that's packs as much volts or, as much, what is it, amp hours or whatever into like something the size of a pea.
It's actually... It's an interesting question, though, actually, because I remember, I think, Chris, you told me this, that, like, the one thing that they're not great at doing is making batteries smaller. Like, they can make tech smaller and more efficient, but batteries don't size down quite as well and at the same rate as other technology.
Was that me?
I think it was.
Oh.
Chris, as you know, is an expert in everything.
I've heard that. Yeah, one thing I know about batteries, because I have, having been a vapor...
A gas?
What was being a vapor like? Did you set any detectors off?
I mean, I'm sorry, a vapist?
We gotta come up with a new word.
How can you
Yes.
yourself?
A vape dude.
I was just gonna say vape, dude. Oh my god.
Wow, there you go.
It just works.
so there's that. So batteries are something that you have to deal with a lot in that hobby. And like lithium batteries, like the ones that were in the Galaxy 7, are like super fucking dangerous. Like anytime you hear people's vapes explode and shit like that, I mean, it's usually because it's not a well-maintained vape. Like they shouldn't just explode randomly, but if you damage a lithium battery, it ain't good.
Galaxy 7 was a phone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you said it and I assumed it was like a shuttlecraft in the
It's
show.
the Galileo 7.
I was like, oh, what is that, a roundabout? Runabout?
A very old Reddit thread has suggested Cloud Bro, or I prefer this one, Douche Fluter.
Ooh,
Whoa.
that's a good one.
Douche douche fluter. That's great.
Yeah, I think the other thing too with batteries now is just like, the one thing I do know is that a lot of like major research into making them better didn't really begin until kind of the smartphone revolution.
Yeah, and now you got like electric cars that need good batteries.
Yeah, so the real research into that stuff is only really kicking in now. So it'll probably begin to get better.
And that would be nice, because you always hear about, like, I always read articles about, somebody invented this new battery technology that can fully charge your phone in 8 seconds and only needs to be charged once a month. And I'm like, okay, when's it coming to market? And it's always, then you never hear, like, does anybody remember hearing about graphene as like this thing?
Vaguely, yeah.
So graphene's still, I mean, it's a material that's made, I believe it's from like a single layer of carbon atoms.
I think that sounds right.
So it's like super, super thin, but of course you can layer it. And when they were first experimenting with it, they found out that it could actually store a charge, but it wasn't as good as lithium batteries. But I mean, I still, like, graphene is still used for a lot of things, but I remember hearing at one point, it's going to be the future of batteries.
The tricky part is just making it cost effective as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've gone on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to mention. Kira is lucky she went through Duet, or she wouldn't be able to like handle having a Cardassian in her family.
That's true. Yeah, Kira like has a lot more interactions with Cardassians than the average Bajoran, I think.
That's true.
And like it's kind of like if I was gonna say it'd be like if Miles had to interact with Cardassians, but he does
Quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the heart of drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read it was rough for her doing all the Cardassian makeup because she actually suffers from claustrophobia.
Oh, Jesus.
And having like all the rubber shit on your face and like all over your nose. Like it's really, really uncomfortable. And she says,
But wait. But she always has prosthetics on her nose.
Well, yeah.
How would the nose be the thing?
Yeah, it's a little different to have something over your bridge versus having something jammed up your fucking nostrils.
True.
Plus, I imagine when they had to make the original, like, casts. Cover her entire head in goo.
Yeah, and it's always funny. Like I know, like all the people who have to come in to have like their heads rubberized and all this extra makeup stuff. Like they have to get in the mornings at like 1 or 2 a.m. Report to makeup, and then everybody else shows up at like 7, and they're like, "Hey guys," and they're like, "We've been here for hours. Fuck you."
Yeah, I'm just assuming that anybody that signs on to be a main cast member in Star Trek, they must, like, the first thing they do must be to make a bust, like a bust cast, so that. Because they know at some point we're going to need to make a prosthetic for this person's face.
At some point, you're going to be another species because we do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if anybody ever falls asleep during their makeup.
I would try.
Yeah, I would try too, especially if they were like, okay, everybody else is getting here in 8 hours, so buckle up. I'd be like, wow, go fuck yourself.
Something I did notice about Kira is her spoon was blue. Mm-hmm. Which we've talked about and speculated that it might be makeup.
Yeah, I've seen most of the females do that. Female Cardassians.
So who made her up? Like, you'd think that when she first woke up, she wouldn't have had makeup on.
NTech just really, really wanted to play with makeup.
I would say the Obsidian Order is very efficient. They have makeup artists.
Yeah, well,
it was her spoon and a couple of her neck ridges.
Yeah.
They do the neck ridges too.
Yeah, the women might have that. 1 or 2.
Yeah, like just 1 or 2 of them, usually like on opposite symmetrical sides.
Yeah,
just a little bit of blue.
Didn't Quark's girlfriend do her chest spoon too, or am I making that up?
I can't remember.
Chest spoon, wild.
Nice.
See, that feels like it would be really fun to look into what you could actually do with makeup with pieces like that.
Speaking of chest spoons, or rather chests, Marta, eh?
Whoa! Hey. We're moving on to the Abandoned?
Unless anybody has anything else.
No, I'm all set.
I don't think so.
All right, so
Tell
the
us
second
about
episode...
Marta.
Yeah. So the second episode we'll be talking about today is The Abandoned. The Abandoned.
Directed by Avery Brooks.
And it shows. Actually, no, his episodes that he's directed have actually been pretty good, I feel like.
Because he did overall. Tribunal.
Yeah.
Which was hot.
So in The Abandoned, Quark is visited by an old friend, and she's like, hey, I've got some legitimate salvage that I can sell you. Would you like to buy some garbage? And Quark's like, yeah, sure, I'll buy garbage. So he buys some garbage. And then he's checking it out, and it's garbage.
It's like Storage Wars.
It's like Storage Wars. Like, he didn't get to see it before he bought it, and then he bought it, and it turns out it was a baby.
Well, no! Dumpster
man.
baby!
Don't worry, though. There were also some really great Picasso sketches in the back. Total loss.
That's true. But yeah, no, so he's checking out his stuff. He hears crying baby sounds, opens a box, and sure enough, it's a baby.
It's his first mistake. You don't open the box.
Yeah, you never open the box, especially when you think there might be a baby.
What's in the box?
In fact, if there's any holes in the box, you should immediately make it airtight.
Yikes.
So they bring the baby to sickbay, and Julian checks it out and is like, yeah, it's a baby, except there's something weird about it because his metabolism's like crazy. And they're like, all right, well, we'll keep an eye on it. Needless to say, within a couple of days, it's a fully grown adult.
Whoops.
You're a teenager.
Yeah, it goes to teenage, but I feel like by the end, it's adult.
Didn't
I feel like it
we
reaches.
see this? Didn't we see this in The Child?
Yeah, it's very similar to The Child, but except in that one, that was like an alien that was trying to trick Troy into raising it.
And from what I recall, that episode sucked.
It did.
Oh, yeah,
but
there was a baby in it.
In this case, though, what we find out is that the baby is actually a Jem'Hadar. What? As seen in The Jem'Hadar.
Wow.
He grows up, at first it seems like a pretty normal kid, but we find out pretty quickly that he's got some, aside from his incredibly increased metabolism and growth rate, he also is pre-programmed with language and like super fighting skills.
That's a thing.
And he's pre-programmed to worship Odo.
And to need drugs.
And he's also addicted to drugs.
It's like how cats are predisposed to knowing how to use the litter box.
True.
Yeah.
Genetics.
And hate Tris.
So we figure out, so we actually learn a lot about the Jem'Hadar in this. I'm sure we'll talk about that more in a bit. At the end of the day, they have to let him go, or Odo decides to let him go because Starfleet wants to just dissect him. Odo helps him escape to the Gamma Quadrant to go be free and live on a farm. Meanwhile, Jake is dating Marta, who has bazongas, that is large titties. Quite nice, squeezed well into
Chris.
a dress.
Great.
The dress was great. The breasts were great. I don't really remember anything else that happened in any of the scenes with her breasts or her.
Listen, during the dinner, she was covered up.
Yeah, but you've seen it. You've seen it all. You know it's there. There's no hiding that. No. So yeah, anyway, as we've heard about Marta before, but now we finally see her. She is a very attractive young lady, way too old for Jake.
So much too old.
I have notes on that.
But that's not going to stop Jake. And take it at speaking as a Jake, that doesn't stop Jake.
Jesus Christ. She's robbing the cradle.
Yep.
Or as
and Miles is there like, yeah, go get him, Jake.
It was so good. 16 and dating a Dama girl. Oh, Godspeed, Jake. Whoa.
Oh, hearts, stars, and horseshoes. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, Clover and Blue Moon.
Jesus. No, so Cisco, though, he's like, haha, I'm going to break him up by inviting them over for a nice dinner. So he does that, and then he learns that Jake is like a Domjot hustler and a writer and
great poet.
He realizes, this girl knows way more about my son than I do.
Whoops.
So maybe I'll keep him together so I can get the inside scoop.
Or you could just talk to your son more. You could just talk to your son more, Cisco. Jesus.
Well, he tries that, but Jake's pissed at him for, because Jake's a teenager and that's what happens.
Jake's a good boy.
Yeah, Cisco wanted to have a baby Jem'Hadar, but it didn't work out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, so here, I looked a lot into Marta, or Marta's actress, Jill Sayer. I might be pronouncing that wrong.
We all looked pretty far into her.
Yikes.
Yeah.
No, I looked her up. She was 18 years old when this was filmed, and Sherlock Laughlin was... Laughlin? Sherlock was 16, as is his character's age. So she's only 2.5 years older than him.
That's wild.
So her character is older... her character's age makes a larger gap than their real life actor age. So
yeah,
Yeah, she just looks way older than him. But also, I read that they were originally looking into Chase Masterson to play the role of Marta. We will see her.
That name.
We will see her later because she will play a woman named Lita. But
There we go.
But she's
She
15
also has
years
a nice
older.
set of
She does. She's
acting
got a
chops.
rack. But she's 15 years older than Shirok. And they were like, too much.
That's
That
too
one's
much, too much. Well, great. Now I feel like a dirty old man now that you've told me that she was only 18.
Hey, she was legal.
Thank God she was 18, I mean.
That like, it's funny though, it really is one of those things, like, if the genders were reversed, there would be no question that this is like, just no. Do not.
There's no question anyway. I mean...
No, I know, but I think there's still there is that societal aspect of just like,
Well, yeah, you certainly wouldn't have had Miles O'Brien being like, go get him, Jane. Yeah, get that old man cock, yeah.
Like, and there would have been like, no question, I don't care how much I'm learning about my daughter because of you. You are 20. She is 16. This is statutory AF.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, although, I mean, it's never shown that they have any kind of sexual relationship.
Yeah,
we don't know that.
Bugs. They're into bugs.
Yeah.
It doesn't even sound like he's gone through fucking puberty yet, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. So
he's a very young 16. Like,
he is. He is.
It's like how fucking Ralph Macchio looked to be about 12 until he was like 40. It's like a very similar thing. Like, it's I don't know, because he looks 14. You know, and she actually does look 20, so it feels even worse than it is. And also, as a side note, I don't know necessarily that O'Brien was like, yeah, older lady, so much as, wow, sexy Dabo girl.
True.
Just, it sort of doesn't.
Yeah, there just wouldn't be a much younger Dabo girl because then Quark would actually get shut down.
Yeah, but I guess the equivalent would have been if it was, you know, Sisko's 16-year-old daughter dating like a Chippendales dancer, you know, like that would be weird.
It also feels like a really creepy. This is just me because I have to blue things up.
Right.
But it felt like, especially when he was talking to O'Brien about meeting her afterwards, O'Brien's like, "Oh, you liked her, huh?" And I'm just like, this is where this turns into a really creepy porn parody.
Yeah. Oh, well, Commander, if things don't work out between her and Jake, maybe there's a chance for you.
My son's a boy. I'm a man.
Oh, boy. No. I mean, all this episode, Sisko is like looking at this baby and being like, man, I really want another baby. Because when Jake was a baby, he was easier to control.
I mean, make happy.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, babies are, I'm baby crazy all of a sudden. Oh, shit, this baby grew up too fast.
Here's the thing, I really loved the moments where Sisko was holding the baby. Regardless of how you feel about babies, he was giving so much, like, authentic affection, and he just looked like he was so, like, I don't know. I just thought it was really beautiful. I think that, again, I really like Avery Brooks a lot.
Well, and it is nice, too, because, you know, just as far as stereotyping goes, men aren't usually allowed to be affectionate with babies on television. They're supposed to be, like, hard and like, yeah, baby, great. Tell me when it's an adult so we can go hunt together.
Oh, it's not mine, is it?
Yeah. So just like to have a male character who's like, oh, look at the little squishy thing. It's you know, it's a nice sort of, again, break from what you would expect, as they so often do with Sisko.
I was going to say, we've talked about it before too, like, you know, there's definitely a distant black father stereotype that they're playing against, which is really nice.
Yeah, I really loved because, you know, this was directed by Avery Brooks, and he says one of the things that he was kind of reaching into, like one thing he was kind of like using as inspiration was to look at this Jem'Hadar kid in the same way that, you know, people of the era and, you know, of today as well look at young people of color. To be like, yeah, we just assume that they're going to grow up and be violent. We assume that this is in their nature. That, you know, there isn't nurture,
they really
there's
blew
only
out that
nature.
stereotype, didn't they? So they really disproved that stereotype. Oh wait.
I mean, you look at it from Odo's point of view, and you try to help him out, and you try to do this and that, and you give him a shot and all this stuff.
Yeah, but you see, I hope that wasn't what the writers were going for here, because the message of the episode is it's in the blood.
Yeah.
You know?
That was my one big problem with
Oh, me too.
being black, and then, not that I, in general, don't have a problem with that, obviously, but then having him be this, like, ruthless, violent, it was really, I was like, is this really what we're doing? This is super uncomfortable.
Yeah, like you said, I think it might have been differing goals of direction and story.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably what it was. I mean, I love that. That's where Avery Brooks goes, though. Avery Brooks goes to a thing of representation and learning about, you know, how expectations of people's culture kind of lead to those expectations being ingrained in what their culture is about. And
it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, sure. I don't think the episode did, honestly, if that was what he was going for, I don't think it was well done. Just because, yeah, there were a couple scenes where they showed people on the station kind of, you know, being afraid of him and running away, and they did draw attention to that. But at the end of the day, the overwhelming message of the episode is, yeah, Jem'Hadar are fucking monsters, and you can't do shit about it, and you can be as nice to them as you want, no matter what. They still just want to kill and fight and,
yeah. I had a bit of a problem with the way that, you know, Odo is a bad dad. Odo seems to like kids, but Odo is a bad dad, because what he does is the first thing he does with this kid is the same thing that Deanna did with Data when Data learned that he had emotions, which is, why don't you explore those emotions by murdering things in the holodeck? And it's like, that's terrible advice. Why would you do that?
Well, I mean, you can see where he's coming from, because in this case, he was like, all right, we think this kid has literally been programmed to want to kill stuff. So maybe if he plays enough Grand Theft Auto, he can be normal the rest of the time. And
that's the first mistake. We all know that video games cause violence.
I've heard that a lot.
Proven.
Thanks, Joe Lieberman. thanks, Tipper Gore.
Those fuckwits.
Yeah. Heavy sarcasm for those who couldn't have guessed.
Yeah, so we learn a lot about the Jem'Hadar here.
Yeah. How possible is it to pre-program them like this?
I mean, well, I think, you know, like you were saying, cats know how to poop in the litter box pretty much, you know.
Yeah, but cats don't come out knowing language. Like, if they didn't know language, like, I don't know, the cat is a bad example because cats don't talk.
I was gonna say, but they do know that making their meowing sounds will make us give them attention, because cats in the wild and shit don't meow. It's not really a communication thing. It's a, I sound like a baby to make you worried about me thing, allegedly.
Yeah, no, I 100% buy the science here.
Really?
And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So if you take for fact that everything that makes up who you are and your body of knowledge and everything is just a chemical construct in your brain, you know, based on the structure of your brain, then there's no reason why you couldn't program DNA to build a brain that already was pre-built with a bunch of those structures in place. Right?
Oh, they could have made that way clearer in this episode.
Just like your DNA has all the instructions on how to build a heart that is shaped the way a heart is shaped and has all the little bits and pieces of the heart. I don't see any reason why you couldn't create a really complex DNA that knew how to build a brain that had language, that had fighting skills, and all those stuff already in place. You'd have to be the universe's greatest geneticist to figure it out.
Who is that person?
Eric Soong, but you know.
Who is that in the Gamma Quadrant then that programmed them like this? It's not. I don't think it's the founders.
I think it is.
They're not people. They don't have brains to practice on.
I'm sure what they did is they're fucking villains.
Yeah, that's true. The Jem'Hadar are effectively their slaves.
They probably the Jem'Hadar were probably like iguanas that they're like, let's fuck with these things until they turn into our killing machines. I think the thing that it was less believable in this was the growth, because how much food was it eating? Like, to go from, like, just in terms of mass.
The first thing he said was, "I'm hungry."
Yeah, but at that point he'd already gone from like baby, like literal
infant,
hand-sized baby, up to like 10-year-old child. Was he not like? I feel like that's like a baby weighs what, 10 pounds, maybe 15, if it's a pretty big baby. we'll give it the benefit of that. We'll say 15-pound baby to 60-pound child. So they had to eat 45 pounds of food in sickbay in a matter of hours.
Ate Julian, that's all.
Yeah.
Do we ever see that Bajoran nurse ever again?
That's true.
It really happens to Cardassian operatives. If they're not destroyed by a phaser, they're fed to a Jem'Hadar.
Oh yeah, this is why so many people go missing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See them.
There you go.
It's all part of the job.
Maybe Odo was breastfeeding.
He's made of goo.
Yeah, he breastfed him goo.
But then
he formed a nipple.
But then he'd be losing mass.
He's one big titty.
Yeah, because Odo doesn't eat, so he must retain the same. I mean, granted, there's whatever's in the subspace realm, but
milk, shitloads of milk.
Oh God!
And he just got a big subspace milk boob.
Of Odo, though, I really liked his new place.
Oh yeah, I wrote down Odo is bucket trained now. Give him a big boy room.
The weird, like, S&M sex cage he had in the middle of his living room. Like, what the fuck was going on?
Something to turn into.
He wants to turn into a sex cage?
Well, I'm guessing he, like, uses it as, like, a jungle gym, maybe? Like, he turns into things
like a sloth
on the sex cage?
He'd be a sloth and hang on it.
Oh, that's much more pure.
Oh, no.
No, speaking of pure, I absolutely loved that Kira gives him a plant and he puts it in the bucket and it's the sweetest fucking thing.
It is.
He looked so cute afterwards. He's like, yeah, is this good? And
Did I people right?
It was so cute.
In my big boy room?
I loved it. I really loved it.
It was so sweet.
My absolute favorite moment, though, of this episode was Odo trying to teach the Jem'Hadar smiling.
Yeah, like, wow.
It's like the blind leading the blind.
Seriously.
Yeah. Give us a smile, says the one person who really fucking smiles poorly on the ship.
You gotta feel for him. Like, I thought it was, Odo continues to struggle with the fact that he got his answer. His answer sucked. And now he finds someone who he can relate to,
who
but
also
who is
sucks.
happy with the answer he gets.
True. Ugh.
It's like, wait. I get to murder and think I'm better than everyone? He's like, no, you're not supposed to like that. Woo! Bloodlust and superiority complex.
Woo! So was what Odo was doing then? So if we're following the logic to the logical conclusion of the the racism parallel here, was Odo portraying changeling guilt? Like, was that what this was?
If the changelings could have guilt, yes.
Well, I mean, he's obviously, was that part of the reason why he took such an interest in this guy?
Oh, yeah, he says right out, trying to undo some of the damage done by his people.
Yeah, it's very interesting because it also plays back to the previous episode a little bit, to the Kira being a Cardassian thing. It's like, what is ingrained in your memory? What is ingrained in, the nature versus nurture side of thing? Like, what are you? Are you a Cardassian or Bajoran? And with Odo, it's like, are you a good changeling or a bad changeling? And with this kid, it's like, are you a bad Jem'Hadar, like is programmed for you to be, or can you be changed into something else? And the answer is he can't fucking be changed.
Right. Yeah. 'Tis a damn shame.
At least not with just Odo and a holodeck.
Yeah, so what does Odo do with him at the end? He just kind of sets him free into the Gamma Quadrant and says, go find your people?
Yeah.
How is he going to find... Does he have a homing beacon in him?
Yeah, that part kind of got glossed over in the episode.
We never see him again, I imagine.
No.
Probably they would pick up on him as soon as he goes to the wormhole, right? And they'd be like, hey, who the fuck's in there? And he's like, I'm a Jem'Hadar. And they're like, oh, cool. But I kind of feel like they just shoot him down anyway. Like, I don't...
Well, I'm sure if they went and, he said that, oh, I'm a changeling, they wouldn't shoot down a changeling.
No, I'm talking about... the Jem'Hadar.
Yeah, but didn't Odo escorted him in the runabout? I thought Odo left with him.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, because they didn't give him a runabout.
Yeah, so he took the runabout there, and then maybe just broadcast a thing saying, "Hey, Odo here.
Come pick up your boy."
Yeah.
Why the Boslik captain had him, unclear. Did she want Quark to have a baby?
I'm wondering. Yeah, so that's interesting.
Because we've seen her before. She's the chick from the Homecoming.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
So that was the same... Okay.
Yeah, the same chick that Quark has obviously plowed.
Oh,
clearly.
so much.
Yeah, I do wonder, though, if she knew about the baby when she gave him the stuff, or if she was just like, no, I'm giving him a bunch of random detritus.
Yeah, I mean, the baby was supposed to be being transported in stasis so that he wouldn't grow too fast, but it sounds like the stasis thing wasn't, stopped working at some point, and he started crying, and
It could be she did just legitimately pick up some stuff, but then realized what she had, which is why she was so eager to, offload it onto Quark.
Well,
Yeah, maybe.
It wasn't like she was asking for a big take. 3 bars of gold pressed platinum doesn't seem like that much money, so it feels like
she didn't know.
No, I think she probably did know, and she was trying to get a very small amount for it because she just wanted it to be gone.
Yeah, I don't want this thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to piss off the Dominion.
I don't want to feed a Jem'Hadar. You seen how those fuckers eat?
They
don't. A little tube in their neck.
Apparently, we learn later that they don't eat, and I assume it's after they've gotten the tube in the neck they don't need to eat, maybe?
Probably.
Yeah, because as we know, to grow up that fast, you probably needed to eat a lot of Odo.
That's interesting too, though, because if they usually develop in stasis, then yeah, you could just intubate them. But I wouldn't think that they would be fed through that tube, because they said it goes directly to the heart or something.
Ugh.
Didn't they say it went directly to the aorta or some shit like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Or
the carotid artery.
Carotid artery, yeah.
You don't eat through that, though.
Yeah, but so that's another thing too, right? So we talked about how they were engineered to have all these instinctual abilities, but they also have this drug dependence. That's fucking horrifying.
Apparently, the chief doesn't know his own history.
Hmm?
Because O'Brien, why would you have your soldiers addicted to drugs? And if we remember our encounter at Farpoint, it was pretty heavily implied that during one of Earth's nastier periods, that's exactly what we did.
That history.
Because at one point, Q appears as a soldier with some kind of little thing he takes a hit off of.
Miles didn't take history. That was a Keiko thing, and she's not around.
It also
right
could
now,
just be that
God.
that drugs were very popular during World War III. That's the only way to get through it.
I mean, it's certainly the only way to get through the current apocalypse. I'm high as a kite right now.
Nice. But yeah, man, the drug dependence thing.
Yeah.
That's super fucked up.
Yeah, it
would work, though.
Yeah, it makes for an interesting element, because now the Federation knows that they're reliant on this thing. If we ever capture one of them and you need to take them out, we can just snip that tube, right? Easy.
Well, I don't think it kills you immediately. I think you get withdrawal.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And it seems like they get more aggressive and violent as the withdrawal sets in.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Actually, keeping them off their drugs would be a worse thing because they get more desperate and more violent.
Yeah. Oh, that's we first see him when he's having this extra anger bit.
I like
we have that.
He was just guessing how much to give him. I don't know. See how he does with this many milliliters. Bloop, bloop, bloop,
Oh, I've killed him.
No,
I'm sure there's some logic behind it. He is a doctor.
Yeah, he's a professional.
Julian is a racquetball player.
A professional what?
Julian Bashir, professional doctor.
I'm gonna put it out there. If he was any good as a physician, he wouldn't be in the space army. He'd be on a planet somewhere taking loads of money, having his own firm or whatever.
There's no money.
But remember, his whole thing was that he wanted to live in the frontier and do frontier medicine because he romanticizes bullshit.
Because he's a sociopath.
Shit, I had another thought, and now I can't remember what it was.
Oh, no.
The fuck were we talking about? Jem'Hadar.
Marta's breasts.
Oh, yeah, those were nice, huh? You could just bury your face right in those. Anyway.
Nope, let's give him to the 16-year-old boy.
Zoom motorboating.
Yeah, I also read that there are many restrictions on what you're allowed to put on a baby actor, which is why he only had a little bit of thing on the forehead.
I was wondering about that because we've seen baby actor, baby
Borgs, baby Borgs.
Baby Borgs, the baby Borg was adorable though.
Yeah,
but they didn't do a ton to him. They just basically put a little hat on him.
Yeah.
And with this guy, they just stuck a little thing on the forehead. When he grows up, there's more stuff you can do to him. And then when we get the actor playing adolescent, he doesn't have a name, adolescent Jem'Hadar guy, you can just go full out and fully make up that guy. Paint the taint.
One thing I noticed, this was in universe thing, was how after Odo showed the Jem'Hadar the video of the Defiant sporting incident in that he started styling his hair like the Jem'Hadar in the video.
I had
like
never
before.
noticed they even had hair.
Yeah, well, they keep it up, but he was wearing his hair down the whole time. And then after that, though, he was wearing it up like the Jem'Hadar, so it's clear that he, like, figured that out.
You're saying that style isn't an inborn trait?
I guess they didn't think to program in the hairstyle.
They do that?
Yeah,
they left that one out. Maybe they're like, well, maybe we want to change it up every few years, so we should make it part of the code.
Actually, I was thinking, maybe that's what I was thinking of. I was thinking, because you were talking about history, and we were talking about, making this, like, magic, incredible DNA. But didn't World War III in the 90s happen because they were, like, genetically engineering super soldiers and Khan and all that shit?
Well, that was the eugenics wars.
It's definitely not, all I mean is it's definitely not, like, unimaginable to jump from 1990s super soldier genetic wars to able to program babies.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
And these people are, like, technologically advanced like crazy. Like, we've seen how they can take apart a galaxy class ship. We've seen that they can go through our shields and shit and do all this stuff.
It actually made something plain that I hadn't realized. I had assumed because we've seen Jem'Hadar cloak before, but I had assumed it was, like, equipment. But he goes invisible just on his own, so it's a biological thing.
Yeah, that's right. That was weird.
Well, I mean, there are animals that have camouflage ability.
Yeah.
Sea creatures and lizards and things like that.
I
could imagine they just, Tosk could do it.
That's true.
So they just added that to the soup when they were making the Jem'Hadar.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, until this episode, I had assumed it was equipment, and now it's like, oh, no, it is a biological trait.
Well, and didn't one of you guys say, like, in a recent week that it seems like the Tosk might have been, like, the progenitor of the Jem'Hadar?
Because
Jake did.
So, in a way, that actually acts as more evidence to that cuckoo theory.
Yeah, that was something they were going to include in the Jem'Hadar, too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, so there you go. To me, that makes it fit even better.
Oh, I miss Tosk.
I know.
Yeah,
we all do.
I am Tosk.
I'm not Tosk, but I wish I was.
But yeah, no, I mean, Tosk is cool and all, but the Jem'Hadar are fucking horrifying monsters. Like, I liked Tosk, despite the fact that he was, a killing machine, but I do not like the Jem'Hadar in terms of, like, I wouldn't want to be friends with the Jem'Hadar.
No.
I would be friends with Tosk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also thought, because we were talking about the genetic engineering and would the founders be capable of that, but I also realized that the founders themselves don't need to be the super geneticists, considering, all of that it sounds to me like basically the entire Gamma Quadrant is in their territory.
A lot of it, at the very least.
So they might just there might be some species in the Gamma Quadrant that happens to have all of this cool advanced genetic engineering tech.
How many Soongs?
Right. It is all, yeah, exactly. It's the Soong Retirement Center.
Every time you think you've run out of Soongs, there's another one there.
Yep.
Hi everyone, Chris again. So, real talk, the episode is effectively over. What follows is us talking about ways we've been killing time during the isolation and things like that. I think you should sit around and listen and enjoy it. It's fun. Why am I doing this though? Well, because there's going to be a weird sort of jump. Because the way we segued into this, it actually makes sense, but it's also a huge, huge spoiler for Picard Season 1, and there was no elegant way to excise that and then also segue into this, so I'm just straight cutting it out and telling you what happened. If you don't want to hear us talk about cooking shows and competition things and ways we've been killing time, then, sign off now. We'll see you next week as we discuss more Deep Space Nine, but I think if you've been listening to us this long, you also like our random rambling, so stick around and listen to that, and I promise the segue made sense. It's just, it had to be removed. Alright, back to the show.
I don't know. Alden Brown is kind of an egomaniacal. I'm just saying, you've seen Cutthroat Kitchen. That man is a sadist.
That's not him. I follow him on the Facebook, and he's basically said, like, if you don't like my character on Cutthroat Kitchen, that's not me. That's a character. If you want to know what my character, watch Good Eats.
I know, I was just kidding.
I just like puns and puppets.
Yeah, well, and also...
Cutthroat Kitchen ran out of gimmicks after one season.
They ran out of gimmicks after one episode. That show, I did not care for that show.
I love that show. I've watched it through like 3 times. I love that show.
Oh, my.
Yeah. I'm pretty bored, to be fair.
Like, I don't know. Honestly, for the cooking show channel or Food Network, whatever it was.
Food Network.
Once it became basically all competition shows, it's just like, meh. Because you're not learning anything from like Good Eats is like, oh, I can do this recipe, and I've done recipes from Good Eats and they work.
I actually disagree that you don't learn anything, because I've definitely learned some stuff from those shows, especially when they're put into a position where like they're having to use random shit together to like make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Chopped situation.
Love Chopped.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate Chopped.
Fuck you. Chris is off the podcast.
Yeah, you're Chopped, buddy.
Hey.
Ew.
I mean, you gotta love Chopped just for the Ted Allen, right? Like,
Ted Allen is great.
He is great.
Anyway, I love those shows. I do think you can learn something. I agree you're not learning a recipe, but the other option is fucking watching The Pioneer Woman, who I find insufferable.
She says chicken weird.
Yeah.
The Pioneer Woman? I haven't seen that one.
Ree Drummond.
She's some Kentucky Fried fucking asshole who does your southern pioneer style cooking.
Yeah,
she's not the same. That was Paula Dean was the other southern one,
yeah, basically,
right? That turned out to be a little racist.
A little. Since they had to get rid of her, they found new Paula Dean, and that's Ree Drummond.
No, I feel like I learn a lot watching Nailed It, but it's mostly what you shouldn't do. Because every time Jacques Torres, who is adorable, Jacques Torres comes out and says, yeah, you should have lined your pans, or you should have buttered your pans, or you should have not done that with your pans. Every week.
But Nailed It is such bullshit because the tasks that they're given and the time they're given to do it are impossible, even for Jacques Chirac or whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah, but you can still make a cake.
Well, and also, like, yeah, I agree that the timeline is probably... I think probably Jacques could do it, but only because he's super
I don't think so.
I do. But I think that part of the problem is that, like, half of the contestants don't even try to follow the instructions.
No, they don't. It's
just it's a comedy show. It's not a cooking show.
Well, I know it's not a cooking show, but my point is, like, you have someone, they give them the instructions how to make a cake, and he's just like, I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to throw this shit and make it up as I go. And I think if you were Jacques Torres, you probably could actually do it because you're a professional and you've been doing it for years. But if you fucking don't follow instructions from word go, you're not going to come even close.
I think Jacques Cousteau could do it, but I just don't think he could do it in the time allotted is the thing. Like, they give them, like, a couple hours.
Have you ever seen the Great British Bake Off, though? Because they construct some shit in very tight...
Yeah, but they take, like, a whole day to do, like, the showcase.
Actually, they do two
Yeah, they do 2 rounds in one day, and then the third day is when they do their big thing.
Well, yeah, but that's their, whatever. But the first one is supposed to be a big special thing, too, and they usually give them 4 hours, and... Like,
yeah, but have you seen the things on Nailed It? They're like airbrushed fucking cakes.
Airbrushing goes fast.
Honestly, I think that a professional could do it. I think that people who are fucking awful to begin with don't have a chance, and I think that's on purpose, definitely. I'm not saying even that, like, a reasonably seasoned person could do it. I'm talking about, like, if you were a pro, you might be able to do it.
Yeah,
so here's the thing, right? So I'm not a pro, but if anyone out there listening is a professional baker and wants to get a lot of attention on YouTube, you should do a YouTube show where you recreate the recipes, where you do the recipes from Nailed It, but in the time allotted, and see if it's possible. I think that would be a cool show.
Yeah, and the pantry has to be 15 feet away from you, like it is in the show.
And can we just agree that fucking using the Rice Krispie treats is a goddamn cheat, and they do it all the fucking time?
Well, I think that it probably has its place in real cake making, but I think that it always works poorly.
I don't know. If I was eating a goddamn cake, and I was expecting cake, and I cut into it, and it was a fucking Krispie treat, I don't know what the fuck I would do. I don't know who the fuck I would hurt.
Honestly...
He's gonna eat a man.
Well, just like the Jem'Hadar.
Yes.
Maybe
it's like that time that I thought I was putting Cool Whip on something, and it turned out to be frozen mayonnaise.
Stop.
And it was fantastic, but...
Ooh.
Is that where the
Okay,
frozen
but
mayonnaise went?
Before we wrap, the one thing I want to say about cooking competition shows.
We're still on this?
Yeah.
Apparently.
The thing I really hate about pretty much all of them is the judges.
Why?
The judges are almost always the most insufferable pricks you've ever seen. Like, I especially hate when it's like food writer, restaurateur, this or that, and it's like, get to fuck. Half you couldn't make this shit either. You're some fucking overblown blogger, and you're gonna sit there and complain that something isn't chocolatey enough.
What
No.
what food competitions are you watching? Because I don't see that an awful lot.
I don't know, whatever the hell Caitlin watches, because I don't watch those.
No, the one that you just quoted at least was some old cupcake show that I really didn't watch that much.
Well, that frog was actually a chef. I just hated his guts.
No, but like when you're talking about shows like Chopped and Cutthroat Kitchen and all these shows, usually it's people like Alex Guarnaschelli, who's actually an Iron Chef, and like
See, I just feel like a lot of the one...
most of the people they have on the shows actually come back and do the competitions on like
Yeah. And I also haven't seen them being dicks so much. I don't think I've seen them being like terrible dicks.
you know who's always a dick but who I love anyway, aside from Alex Guarnaschelli, is
She's allowed. She's great.
she's wonderful. I used to hate her and I have come to just adore her. Zakarian. He always sounds like your food that you're eating, that you're feeding him, came from your ass and you're the worst. Zakarian always has that.
Isn't he
Oh,
French?
yeah, fuck that guy.
Ass food.
Smug-looking cunt.
I know that this isn't the point of the podcast, but does
It
anybody...
is now.
It is. Does anybody... Does anybody have any suggestions?
Oh, yeah, I hate her, too. She's the worst.
What just happened?
I googled Guarnaschelli.
I love her. I was gonna ask if you guys have been up to anything interesting aside from watching Star Trek, and if you have any ideas for good ways to kill time during the self-isolation. Mostly because I'm looking for ideas.
Oh, I've been hiking every other day because it's the thing you can do out of the house.
As Caitlin winces.
But no, I've been listening to podcasts while I hike, so there's that.
What podcasts?
I'll
Anyone
send you
but
some
this one.
links.
No, plug them. Plug
Well,
somebody.
let's see. Our mutual friend Juliet recommended to me one called Alice is Not Dead,
Okay.
which is it's by the people who do Night Vale.
Okay.
So it's kind of horror. It's creepy horror stuff. Which, when you're hiking alone in the woods over a land bridge that goes by a reservoir, and a man with a dog is up ahead, you're like, this was
And
an
don't forget
idea.
the selectmen.
I've made bad choices. That sounds good. What about you, Chris?
I've been playing Animal Crossing,
Yay!
and I finally finished the 2 seasons of the new DuckTales that are on Disney Plus.
I have to say that I'm very disappointed in you for not playing Final Fantasy VII yet, in spite of the fact that it's been sitting in your house for like 4 days.
He has Animal Crossing. You heard what he said.
I showed you how long...
My left fucking leg to have Final Fantasy VII.
I showed you how long it takes to make a road in Animal Crossing. Like...
Days.
It's pretty painstaking.
The time it would take to build an actual road.
Probably.
A little less.
Actual road you get done in one day if you got a crew. What about you, Jake?
Last few days I've been playing a lot with my 3D
Penis?
printer and my penis. My 3D penis.
Well, I'm glad you don't have a 2D one.
It's like a cartoon anvil fell on it.
Actually, on here we can plug.
It says like, yikes.
Ugh.
Might as well give a plug. I know this is going to come out when this is already happening, and I'll probably have plugged it on the Facebook in the meantime. But you should go find the radio play that I wrote, and Jake is directing, and Chris is in, and a lot of other past guest stars whom we know and love are in. Fine-Tuned Universe.
Yes, Caitlin. What? Nothing. Go on. A Fine-Tuned Universe.
Yes.
Where can we find that, Ames?
On the we're going to have the files up on the Facebook
Oh.
and the YouTube.
Oh.
Links below.
Great. Cool.
I have like a 10-inch long Superman curl here.
10-inch
Oh, wow.
2D.
Jake hasn't cut his hair in a year and a half.
It's true. It's horrible.
No,
Every
we're
time I'm doing
definitely-
anything, it's in my face. I have to wear these headphones like a headband.
No, I'm definitely like...
You're not
'cause
even
I hate...
using them right now. It's just it's a fashion accessory. When we sign off, you'll still be wearing it.
I despise going to the barber, but I'm at the point where if this wasn't all happening, I would have, like, gotten to the point where even I would just force myself to go.
Okay,
And,
so you're not at the point where you're shaving your own head yet.
No, I don't know what that would take. But yeah, like, I'm probably, like, a week ago, I would have forced myself to get a haircut by now. So it's like, I don't know what to do. This is getting weird. I don't like it.
Yeah, depending on how long we're still in this situation, my head, I might just shave. Probably not really, but I consider it. I've been thinking about it. Problem is, I know that there's a big fat melon under all that hair. That's my real problem.
My issue is, like, when my hair starts to get too long, it starts to kind of curl up. And so I've got, like, the back is getting all wavy and shit. The front is thinning, so I look like early 90s Frasier, which is not a good look.
That's a bad look.
And that's actually, that's connected to Star Trek because, of course, Kelsey Grammer.
Yep, brought it home. See that?
Yeah.
Jake us out!
All right. Well, thank you for listening. We will be back next week with another podcast episode. Wow, I'm struggling here. We'll be back next week with another episode where we're going to watch 2 more Deep Space Nine episodes. They will be Civil Defense and Meridian. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe to our podcast by visiting SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find us by searching A Star to Steer Her By on Facebook. We are SSHB Podcast on Twitter and Tumblr, or you can visit sshbpodcast.com, which will probably just take you to our Tumblr page, but someday in the future might be more impressive. We really don't know.
We're lazy fucks.
If you want to give us a rating or a review, that would be really hot because it helps people find us. And right now we've got tens of fans, but we'd love more.
You can listen to us while you're hiking.
Keeping at least 6 feet between you and all other hikers.
I've been trying.
And honestly, if you're running around, here's the one thing I keep hearing about is fucking joggers who aren't wearing masks. You're supposed to be like something like 15 feet away from someone if you're jogging and you're not wearing a mask because of...
Well, because you're also, like, breathing heavier.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're getting all sloopy from the running, so...
Yeah, so if you're a jogger and you're running around at 6 feet or less and you're not wearing a mask, you're a cunt. So stop it, wear a mask, jog away from each other. All right, I think that's it. I have been Caitlin.
I've been Jake.
This has been Chris.
And this is always Ames. TBD if we're still in virtual form next week.
True.
Woo!
Rule of acquisition not numbered. Always check the merchandise first unless a hot chick tongues your ear.
Seriously, he always thinks with his lobes.
He really does.
All right, that's that.
Bye.
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 All right, and I'm hitting stop. Stop.
Stop. Boop.